Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics. Hey guys, we made it yet again to another Saturday somehow. Oh man. Again, some last minute stuff. Getting everything together, just barely made it on here on time. Hope everybody has had an outstanding week. Let's see who we have with us today. Mike, hey, good to see you, man. Erica, hope you're doing good. We will see you later on this evening on the Patreon Zoom call. Gerald, hello. I'm ready to tumble. I don't know. I don't think this counts as a tumbler, but I still got to get the real rattle on there. It's plastic rattle on there. I really want to get a real one. Yeah, like I said, I just can't justify spending $50 for one. Oh, what are you up to tonight? Trying to type around your cat. Judd, how you doing? Brandon, good evening, sir. Laura's with us. Chris, hey, man. Good to see you. Got a little update on some gear here at some point. So this whole photography thing that I've been working on has been going fairly well. Actually got a new lens in the other day that is pretty stellar. So here over the course of the next couple of weeks, we should be getting some really cool stuff that I'll go into later. Hey, hope you are having a great day. Turtle, good to see you. Hey, Leo, he's from across the pond. Good to see you, man. It's, so what time is it there? You guys it's like 1 o'clock in the morning or something there. That's a good thing about doing this stuff on Saturday nights. Everybody can stay up late. Travis, how are you doing, sir? Need to get some friends over here from Australia on a regular basis too. Need to get them on and start having them live stream some wildlife walks for us over there. Let's see. Okay, I got the banner up. We're good. Oh man, 105 degrees. Yeah, man. It's I've been seeing that on the national weather for a long time, and it is going to be getting hot here over the next month or so. I guess Pennsylvania has already got record temperatures in places where folks aren't used to necessarily triple digits. Definitely, guys, focus on keeping yourself safe. Have a plan. We hear about this a lot, especially when the heat starts getting bad. Stresses out the power grid, power goes down, and we lose people every year to stuff like that. So, definitely take it seriously, especially if you've got elderly folks, things like that. They maybe live by themselves. You even hear a whisper in their area of power going out. Make sure you're checking on them. It's real easy to think you can just muscle through it, but there again, we lose a lot of people to heat injuries, and it's just going to keep getting worse. Make sure that you've got a plan, someplace you can go if your power goes out, stuff like that. Some means of keeping cool, because especially like when I was in Phoenix, the summers out there naturally are crazy. You can literally cook on the streets. If you drop something in the asphalt in Phoenix during the summer, the asphalt is so soft, it'll push it right into it. I've seen those rubber cargo straps, rubber, mind you, just completely embedded in the asphalt, because you drop it on there, it gets run over a couple times. That asphalt's so hot. Pretty nasty stuff. So keep an eye on your loved ones this summer and all that good stuff. Very important. 12 a.m. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you're 5 hours ahead of us then. Oh wow. Yeah, that's warm for Virginia. I mean, I just got back in this morning from the mountains, and it was even warm out there today. Um, it's typically a lot cooler up there, but yeah, it was a nice warm day for sure. Having a weird year in Southern California. It's just now getting into the 80s. Oh wow, damn. I got another buddy of mine, Gary Tarpley. If you guys keep up with Constricted and Addicted on YouTube. He's actually got a fire going not too far from his house. He posted a video the other day of just smoke, all that stuff. I guess they're okay, but pretty scary this year, man. I mean, it's just going to continue getting worse. The temperature's going to keep going up. Fires are going to start getting more consistent. Wait till hurricane season, right? Hopefully we get lucky there, especially for our friends out in Florida. Nicole, how are you doing? Yeah, 97, that's fairly uncomfortable. I don't know if we ever get used to it. Or saying it's too early in the season. Well, yeah, wait until we get into the fire season. I was watching a lot of stuff on New Mexico here too. I guess they're getting tore up pretty good there. Block party reschedule. Well, cool. Let me get in really quick. And I know we go into the USARK stuff every week. So those of you guys that are that have been hanging around with us for a while, you know what we do. This is all going to be white noise to you guys, but for everybody that's here that's new watching this, what we do every week early on, so that I don't forget, you guys can also see the banner running across the bottom of the screen here. That for USARK.org, that is the website that I am getting to pull up and share with you guys right now. I think if I can do this more quickly. There we go. So every week we go over USARK. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, it's your first time seeing this. Maybe you've been in a closet for the last couple of years. USARK is a national organization. It's a nonprofit. And what they do is they monitor proposals, legislation, regulations, all that stuff all across the country. They catch the fine print for us in these 100-page bills, and try to catch unreasonable animal laws, bans, things of that nature. And they represent the animal keeper community on behalf of us down in state legislatures, at the U.S. Capitol. And we've got a really good record with these guys of, they knock these things down pretty quickly, which is really cool. Up until a couple weeks ago, every time we do our USARK thing, all we were really talking about was the 5 most recent successes that they've had. And those are out in Arizona, there was a warrantless animal seizure thing. Maybe that's that's one of the ones that they killed. The pet tax in Colorado, the thing in South Carolina that isn't necessarily, it's just something to keep an eye on. It's not necessarily bad legislation. But they even mentioned the stuff that might be a gray area, stuff that they could change up that could potentially be bad for us. There's been animal program bans like MAD, the Florida iguana ban, the herp overhaul out in Louisiana, all of that stuff, all 5 of those things, all got squashed here recently because of the attention that USARK drew to it. Now we've got other things coming up. This one here, I put out a video on this, I think it was last week, talking about salmonella, because it's been hitting the news lately. we've all heard people asking, do your, reptiles carry salmonella and they're not safe, et cetera, et cetera. I guess there's been like 15 reported cases nationwide of salmonella that they tied to bearded dragons. So I guess they ran out of stuff to talk about. So they pushed that to the news. And like we said in that video that I put out about it, I mean, salmonella is fairly common. There's like 1.3 million cases of it in the U.S. annually, resulting in about 420 deaths based on the statistics I've seen on the Center for Disease Control site. Like 26,000 hospitalizations. Most of the time, you're going to get salmonella from things like, undercooked meats. Poultry is real famous for it. You'll see it in vegetables sometimes because it's fecal orally transmitted, and you get infected populations of animals, encountering our produce and things like that. That produce doesn't get cleaned well enough. This stuff gets transferred to us. We eat it and then we get it. So it's, of course, like the media does with most things, they made it sound a lot worse than it actually is. So we put out a video on it, just kind of counter that. But USARK also has this. They've got a bunch of details on it. You can read up on salmonella, steps to prevent it, things like that. So definitely good information to have from a current event standpoint. Let's see. So yeah, the things that we're working on now, and I won't spend too much time on this, but I encourage everybody to go to USARK.org and read through this information here. You'll see there's USARK provides us with links to the reporting on a lot of this stuff. Anything you guys may need to get more information on it. The thing that a lot of you guys may be familiar with is this light bulb ban. And you may remember, when the electric companies started making LED house lamps, the little replacing our little 60-watt lamps, 60-watt light bulbs with LEDs. Well, this takes that one step further, and they're trying to do away with incandescent lighting entirely. Only problem is reptile keepers, a lot of us use incandescent lighting for our animals for heat in order to keep them alive. So it's my understanding that ZoomEd is also working on this issue. But of course, anything involving the animals, USARK is going to get involved to some degree. So you can also read through this, and they summarize the stuff. This is a really good thing as well about having USARK as a resource, because just like with the bearded dragons and salmonella thing, the media is trying to get views, so they're going to make the stories sound how they sound. USARK goes through, they provide the details on it, the facts about it, and stuff like that. So you can read up more on that light ban. Let's see. Okay, that one was already voted down. Yeah. And see, this is just looking through here really quick, the first sentence on this. An update as of 6/18 for this issue that they was dealing with in West Mifflin, PA. Thanks to a huge turnout, including USARK President Phil Goss, the Borough Council voted no to this ordinance. Thank you to all the residents that contacted the council to voice their opinion and concerns. The council is certainly aware of the outrage. Okay, so this is how it works. You can complain about the government all you want to, but democracy is what it is, and it only works with an educated electorate that participates. And this is a prime example of that. We do this over and over and over again. USARK doesn't have the huge budget that a lot of corporate entities have got to work with, paying for lawyers and lobbyists and all this stuff. And it really does make a difference if you hear about these things and you follow the steps, you send the emails out, you make the contact, make the calls and so forth to your representatives. It will make a huge difference, and it will prevent us from having our animals banned, point blank. It's that participation that does it. So make sure, if you're not already a member of USARK, go to this page. You can see these are, annual levels. You can, of course, give as much as you can to them. Like I said, all of this stuff costs money, and the support is all, it's all USARK has got to work with. They've got the platinum memberships up to $12,000 a year, which is $1,000 a month. But even just to get on and become a member, $40 a year. I mean, how you can't DoorDash McDonald's anymore for less than $40. So give that some thought. Definitely get on. And I have been getting a lot of messages here lately from a lot of people that are getting on. A lot of people sending me messages saying, "Man, I just signed up for USARK, cool," or "I just got my T-shirt," and stuff like that. Huge shout out to those folks that are taking heed of this stuff that we put out and acting on it. It's not hard. It's not, they don't ask a lot. But if you've got any kind of animals at all, reptiles, birds, fish, all of this stuff are subject to bad laws. And, you're going to spend exponentially more on your animals than it costs to become a USARK member. So now that I've beat that about the head and shoulders as much as I can, make sure if you're not already a member, do it. And on a side note too, we've been back and forth with Nido Children's Museum out here in High Point, North Carolina. And as it stands now, we're scheduled to be there on the 3rd of August. The last event that we did there last year for their Reptile Week went excellent. It was a great time. We had, probably 6-7 presenters out there with us. Everybody bringing different species of animals. We had tortoises, monitor lizards, big snakes, little colubrids, local species, stuff like that. They're always so much fun. And it's a real comfortable environment. I'll be posting links for all of that stuff as we go. So anybody that wants to come out, it is at the museum. They are going to sell tickets to it. So, you'll be able to get online and get that stuff. It's not a lot. I'm not even going to quote prices because I don't know what it is, but it's not a lot. But it's well worth it because you can get hands-on, face-to-face with some really awesome animals and meet some really great keepers. I don't have complete confirmation about which folks are going to be going there and presenting with us this time. So I'll publish that information as it becomes available. I don't want to put out that a certain person is going to be there. Something comes up, they can't make it. People get disappointed. But we've got some great folks that come out and some great animals. So if you're in the area, near High Point, North Carolina, I strongly encourage you guys to make it out to that. August 3rd, it should be a Saturday. And that'll be a lot of fun. There's some great folks, some great staff up there too. The last time we did the presentation up there, man, the staff was just amazing. Matter of fact, Chloe was a favorite out there. One of the staff members picked her up as soon as we walked in the door and kept her until we started. Speaking of which, come on, crazy. Come on. Come out and say hi to the people. Creepy snake. Come on. Gotta have one of the babies out with us. Get out of my coffee cup. She's probably gonna keep me busy here. She shed, and then right after she shed, she ate last weekend. And ever since then, she has been like hibernating. And just here yesterday, she started moving around a little bit. So she's probably not going to stop moving around. I just realized I look like a straight hobo. Looking like a hippie, man. I need a haircut. We had a lot of fun. I was out at Allegheny Zoo yesterday. Got back in this morning. And or this afternoon rather. So was out there running around. I'm going to be putting out a video at some point. I got a lot of good footage out there of some of the pretty unique animals that they've got, and we'll be putting out some promotional stuff for them too. It's a really cool place. From here where we're located, it's about 2 hours west. Where are you going? Really? And they're getting Airbnb out there you can rent. A little petting zoo for the, I would say for the kids, but man, it's got a bunch of cool stuff out there that everybody enjoys seeing. Got some really good ratings out there. So we'll be putting out some more stuff on that as well. I just got the latest footage downloaded. So where are you at? What are you doing? Oh, let's see. 97 in Michigan. Oh, I'm sure you guys are loving that. I lived up in Michigan for a while. Michiana Shores area, southwest part of the state, right off the lake. Beautiful state. Beautiful state. Matter of fact, years ago, I spent a little bit of time in the National Guard when I was younger, before I went active duty. Camp Grayling, Michigan, I think it is. I was really proud of that. I got 2 5-ton dump trucks and a Hammett buried to the axles in the mud out there one time, going to recover some concertina wire. Fun times. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, Erica was saying the fire season typically starts in late July out there. It's just, I don't know, man. I think fire season is going to be expanding. It'll be more and more frequent. Tara, you made it. Good to see you. How are you feeling? I hope you're feeling well. I know I'm way back behind on the comments because I've been sitting here bumping my gums forever. But are you like trying to go home already? There you go. You're not going to get into the trash. There. That snake is so funny. She will sit there and she'll sit right at the glass and push on it and try and find all the cracks to get out. And then I'll open up the door and she'll just hang her head out 6 inches and sit there. So let's see if I can get caught up here really quick. Joe was saying, talking about beardies, hers was extremely angry today. Yeah, you'll notice that for those of you guys, bearded dragons have got this thing that they do if you're not familiar with them, where they get angry at you, their beard turns dark black, and they let you know. Let's see. Close this door. I quit paying attention to her, and before I know it, she'll be up on the other enclosures trying to say hello to everybody. So, bought a new one. What do you buy a new one of? Let's see. Hey, Chase, good to see you, man. Glad you make it. Learn to set notifications for the stream. Yeah, man, sometimes I got to do that too. Don't feel bad. So, hey, my mother made it. Good to see ya. Hey, Jim is with us. Jim is one of the presenters. He comes out with us and does events, and he will be on board with his awesome wife, Christina. And yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that event on the 3rd. I think what we're going to do because I've got to force myself to do this because I'm terrible at it. If I go out to social events and things like at Retake Fest last year, I had all my camera stuff with me. I was like, I'm going to film something. We're going to do a really cool Retake Fest video, put it up on the channel. I get out there, I get busy shooting shit with everybody and completely forget about getting any pictures at all. And then I'm running around there the next day going, hey, did anybody get a video of this? So, which really makes me sad because they're towards the end of the day, Saturday, this last Retake Fest, they had a 20-foot reticulated python up on a beam. And it would have been an awesome video of me getting her down from there and getting her back in her enclosure. But everybody was too busy watching her hang on and me turning purple, I think, to pull their phones out. But anyway, yeah, this next event that we do, particularly since I've got competent recording equipment now, I am going to do my level best to record as much of it as we can, do some interaction stuff, maybe have a little area there for a little while where we can get folks that this is their first time ever handling a snake, or maybe get somebody that's afraid of them that, gets their first opportunity to work with them, kind of get their feedback and stuff, and really document really well everything that we do out there. So expect probably within a week of that event on the 3rd, I'll be publishing a video on it. Again, like I said, we have a lot of fun out there. And Jim and Christina are awesome. They're typically bringing some really cool colubrids out there to hang out with us. They're both excellent educators, great folks. And they're neighbors, practically. They live out towards, I ain't going to say where they live because it's somebody else and nobody needs to know where they live. But yeah, really great folks. Brandon's got his worst snake outside, watching him explore. We got a question about that the other day too. This will be a good time to talk about this. Somebody was asking, and I don't remember the names. I'm not one to throw names out there anyway, because some people will, gripe at them, things like that. But somebody was asking if it was a good idea for feeding, to take their snake out of the enclosure, take them outside, and then put them back in the enclosure after they're done eating. And then they had a question about mites and things like that. So it's a fairly common, it addresses a couple points. So it's not a bad idea to bring that up here. A couple things. For anybody that has questions about taking a snake and moving them into a bin or a tub or something to feed, I really think where that came about was from the pet stores. Just because they don't feed in the enclosures in the stores, because I don't think they want the public seeing the animals eating and stuff like that. So they take the animals out, they take them back, they feed them elsewhere, and then they put them back in the enclosures after they're done eating. They don't do that for the snake's benefit. They do that for the customer's benefit, and it's probably a company policy if I had to guess. I don't know. So I think that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. People see the pet stores doing it, and then they mimic it, think it's a good idea. First rule of thumb, don't ever mimic anything a pet store does. I mean, you can even see videos like Adam Wickens has done a couple of these too, where he does the videos of taking out the care pamphlets from the pet stores and looking at them and comparing them to how you actually raise these animals and take care of them. Your best bet when you're looking for information is, literally, first of all, go on to, like college websites and things like that and see if you can find any research on the animals. Always great. And then finding reputable, experienced people that keep the animals that can really tell you what's right and wrong. Because, the stuff like pet stores and stuff. I mean, you get somebody that's like, oh man, I like dogs, I'm gonna go see if I can work at PetSmart. They know nothing at all about snakes. But you may get those people that are like, man, I work at a pet store, I know what I'm talking about, when they really don't. But anyway, so here's my take on feeding outside of the enclosure. There may be reasons to do it. I'm not familiar with any reasons good enough to do it. Here's a couple dynamics that apply when you're talking about moving your snake to feed them. First of all, if you've got a picky snake or you've got one that's been refusing meals for a long time, it can prevent them from taking another meal. And here's the reason why. Think about, say for instance, you've got a 12-foot reticulated python, and because I'm using them as an example because they're notorious for their food response, right? Now, if you're wanting to move him out of his enclosure to feed him, you open the enclosure. We all know about tap training, shut down their food response. Well, you shut down their food response on a feeding day in order to handle them and move them. And then you get them moved into wherever you think you're going to be feeding them at. Now you've got to get them you got to get their food response to kick back in so that they accept the prey item. And like I said, if that snake's already refusing, you may have missed your opportunity to get them to eat when you shut down that food response, when you first moved them out of the enclosure. Maybe as soon as you opened up that door, a snake hasn't eaten in 3 months, and now he's got a hot food response. And if you would have offered him prey, he would have just hit it, ate, everything would have been good. If he's on the fence, you shut down that food response, move him, get him into handling mode. Maybe he decides, I'm just not going to eat. So we missed the opportunity. If they do eat once you move them, now, and you'll see this in some animals, my male was really bad for this. When I first got him, right after he ate, for a few days afterwards, and he was bad for hitting the glass anyway, because he wasn't a really happy snake when I got him. But after they eat once, man, that food response can be intensified. So if you've got one of those snakes, now you've got them in a tub, their food responses could be more difficult to turn off. And now you've got to handle them immediately after a meal, get them back into their enclosure. And that's not good. I mean, it's working with these guys. The main thing when we're working with these reptiles is consistency. We talk about how smart they are, but I mean, even if somebody like your spouse, if they do something consistently, you know them, you know how they're going to react. If they're off the wall all the time and they react to everything different, you don't know what to do because you don't know how they're going to react. Same thing with our snakes. They will learn routines. They will learn to recognize things. A lot of people will do things like, I feed out of this door. Anytime this door opens up, they know that they're going to eat. Every time the other door opens up, they know they're going to get handled. And stuff like that. People talk about target training and all that stuff. So they are smart, but it really helps with that, to have that consistency. And if you're confusing them by shutting down the food response and then sparking it right back up and then shutting it down and sparking it, I don't know. I don't like it. One of the concerns that some people will have is about feeding on substrate. They throw maybe a wet, sticky prey item in there or something. Even if it's a dry prey item, when that snake gets a hold of it and wraps it, sometimes it can be like a toothpaste tube. So bodily fluids come out of it. And of course it makes it wet. Substrate can stick to it and the snake can ingest it. That's a concern, but in my eyes, that's when you just evaluate your substrate, really. Then there's always the option of getting a big tray or something. If you want to feed like that, putting a tray in there, setting a prey item on there if you're really concerned, maybe help mitigate some of the substrate to get stuck to it. But like one of the things that I do for the snakes that are behind me here in these enclosures is I've got half of it paper, half of it moss. So the paper and the hide is right under the heat element. And the other side of it's where I keep the water bowl and the moss, and I keep the moss sprayed down. It helps keep the humidity level up for them. And I always feed over the paper. So when I go in there on the paper side. They wrap it up. They eat right there. I don't have to worry about them eating a bunch of moss and stuff like that. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they drag it all over the enclosure and stuff. But, and of course, my bigger snakes, I keep them on paper anyway. So anyway, that's kind of my take on feeding moving the snakes to feed. There really isn't a good reason to do it. Feed in the enclosures, manage the food responses properly, be consistent with them. And like I said, if you've got a substrate that you're worried about, don't use it. Change your substrates out. In many cases, substrate is there for us. The snakes, they don't care what they're looking at in most cases. It's there because we want the enclosure to be prettier and stuff like that. As long as your parameters are right, your heat, your humidity, and all that, things like paper, perfectly fine. Now I'm talking about, for bigger snakes, of course. The smaller snakes, I'll use like my hognose, my colubrids. I use aspen bedding for them. And, because they like to burrow and stuff like that. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But the other half of that, of course, is taking the snakes outside. I don't know that there's anything wrong with feeding them outside necessarily in and of itself, but going back to moving them, there's no need to do that. And it was asking about if your snake can get mites from taking them outside. Now, mites are transferred from snake to snake. The only way you're really going to pick up mites outside is if you had a mite infested snake, you took it outside, brought it in, and then you let another snake go out and play in that same area, and they can potentially pick up those mites. But if you go outside, set your snake down in the grass, they're not going to get snake mites out of the grass. Couple things, especially for your smaller snakes, being on a topic of taking them outside. Two things you really got to watch for with your smaller snakes, if you're going to take them outside, is holes in the ground and birds of prey. You don't want to be out there with your 2-3 foot snake and letting them run around in the grass, and all of a sudden you look and they're halfway down a gopher hole, and because they will do that. They like to den and burrow and stuff like that. So if they find a hole, they'll go into it. And you've also got to be really cognizant of birds in the area. You get a hawk or something like that. Owls, they feed on snakes. So you definitely don't want to be out there with your, and this even applies up to like 4 or 5 foot snakes, depending on the size of the bird. I mean, there's eagles out there that can carry away a fox. So assuming your snake weighs less than a fox, definitely be careful. Keep your head on a swivel when you're outside. You don't want to turn around and see a bird carrying your animal away, which would be bad. And I thought there was something else I was going to say on that too. I'm taking them outside. I guess another point too, being the summertime, your snakes can overheat. They can slow their metabolism and stuff like that down if they get cool. Sometimes maybe the worst that'll happen is they'll get a mild RI or something. But if you take your snake out and the temperature gets too high, you can damage them neurologically, and they can expire pretty quick. Actually, had somebody asking me the other day about doing an educational event outside this summer, and that was talking about, we've got these black tubs to keep them in and stuff like that when they're not out being handled. If you're one of those folks that does any educational stuff, if it's like 90 degrees or higher, I probably would reschedule it to a cooler day. You can manage it with shade and things like that. Doing them indoors in the summertime is, a lot of times, it's just as good of an idea as doing it indoors in the wintertime. It's not difficult to, say for instance, you're outside and you've got one snake that is not participating right now. So you put him in one of them black tubs and you say, well, he'll be fine. I'm going to put him in the shade. It's ventilated. You go off for an hour and you're working with somebody else. You forget about it. The sun shifts. Now that black tub is in direct sunlight and it's hot out there, and it'll cook your snake. It will get really hot in there, and you can damage them. Like I said, the neurological, you can open it up and find them dead. So it's really important to, watch the temperature when you're doing this stuff outside. There was the last one that we did outdoors with a summer camp out here. We ended up cutting it like an hour short. And even prior to that, a lot of us were taking our animals and putting them in vehicles with the air conditioning on, just to ensure that they weren't overheating. You really got to watch that stuff. If you got animals that you keep in an enclosure, we've got the radiant heat panels and whatnot to keep them warm in our homes that are like 73 degrees. But you take that same enclosure outside where it's 90 degrees, it's going to get really hot in there really fast. That's something to be really careful of. So that's one of the things that I really like about doing indoor presentations like we're doing at the museum. And it kind of sucks because they've got out along the side of the museum, they've got like some dinosaurs out there. I thought it'd be really cool to be able to have the snakes out there crawling around on the dinosaurs and stuff. But if you're talking August in North Carolina, those things are going to be too hot to touch. So, but anyway, be really aware this summer when you're taking your animals out. I find with my animals a lot, even when I take them out on an 80-degree day and I set them in the direct sunlight, they almost always shoot straight for the shade. It's like they don't like being in it in most cases. My big female retic, a lot of times she'll leave her body out in the sun and she'll just rest her head right on the edge of the shade. So, which makes sense because they don't have any eyelids. So I'm sure the direct sunlight isn't always pleasant for them. Let me see if I can catch up on these. I know I'm way far behind here. So gotta love Chloe. Absolutely. She's the sweetest animal ever, man. She's a great ambassador. I can't wait. I say this, but I really like her being this size because I can keep her in the office with me. She's a mainland, so she's going to be a big girl. I don't know. I think just for my own benefit, when she starts getting big, I might have to just get a big enclosure and still keep her in the office with me. A couple of years from now, you guys will be watching the live streams with her posted up 4 feet next to me. Smay, good to see you, man. Glad you made it. Oh man, that sucks. Yeah, Tara's been having some spinal, some nerve issues, which is, I know, really uncomfortable. I hope they're able to get you squared away. I know that stuff. I used to scoff at nerve pain. I always thought it was imaginary till the first time I had it. And I had a whole new respect for people that got to deal with that on a regular basis because it kicked my butt. I've got a pretty high pain tolerance, and it tore me down. Erica wants to see the green tree python. Ramses is his name. Let me go get him really quick. Oh, let's see. Quick note on green trees. It is always much better if you can do it to have them on removable perches. You see how easy it was to get him out of there? And this is a pretty easy. Let me see. Don't fall. I guess I'll turn this down a little bit so you can see him better. Take that comment off so you can see him even better. So this little guy likes to sleep during the day, typically. Come on, man. Get off the perch. I know, I woke you up. Now, you should know this. It's Saturday night. There's always a chance you can come out. But get off of here for a second. Come on. There you go, bud. You just got to be really careful taking these guys off of their perches, especially getting towards the end of their tail there. Really tiny vertebrae in there. You can't really force them because you'll hurt them. There we go. And of course, he's going straight for the chair, like he always does. Come on. I'm going to come hang out here for a second first. You can see all the people. That's a bright lights over here. He's trying to get away from them. Man, really? There you go. Yeah, this conversation came up the other day too, talking about all right, talking about how green trees have got such a bad reputation as being really bitey and difficult to handle and stuff like that. I think in a lot of respects that all goes back to the removable perch thing, because I mean, you've seen how quickly I was able to get him out of there. If I couldn't have taken that perch out of there, I would have had to stand over there and do everything that I was doing right here, trying to get him unwound off of there while he's trying to stay on. And it can be pretty difficult to do. So these removable perches make the whole experience that much easier. One thing about handling in general, when you first go into a snake's enclosure, that's the time when they're the most anxiety ridden, you know. That initial going in. Typically, once you get them out, they chill out a little bit. They get more comfortable pretty quick. Just like Bob, the Sri Lankan back there. He, when I first go into the enclosure, he'll puff up and hiss at me and stuff like that. As soon as I get him out, he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool." But I think that's where, you know, some of the arboreal species like green trees and emerald tree boas get their bad reputation from. It's because you got to handle them a little bit differently. They're always going to be wrapped around something. Whereas you go in, you know, most of our python enclosures don't have a whole lot for them to wrap around. They're not going to perch as much like that. It makes them a little bit easier to get out of there. But you're just going to sit there. You're not going to look at the camera. You've at least got to let everybody see your eyes. Really. That's the least you got to do. I know. You get mad that I took you out, but don't forget that I feed you. So get over and let everybody see you. Come on. Get your head around. And not the prettiest animal you've ever seen. I just love the whole head structure and their eyes and the way their pits are. Just, these are amazing, amazing snakes. Yeah, get back there. Focus up. And he looks so much better on this lens too. So happy about this. The last few times having this 17 mil prime wide angle is awesome. It does awesome. Let's see. Hey, Rachel made it. Good to see you. He's our tarantula person. Let's see. Let's see. Tara brought somebody in, new person to watch the live stream. Brian Kaselke from Man Cave Morphs. I've heard that name before. Breeds ball pythons, bloods, and short tails and rosy boas. Oh, cool. Awesome. Outstanding. Yeah, I'll have to make, like I said, I know that name. So Brian, good to see you. Welcome. Oh, there he is. Let me see. Let's see. Anthony, good to see you. And right down here, there's Brian. And at the sub. Oh, okay. Yeah. This shows how far behind I am on the comments here. Brian was talking about the why they move the animals to feed in the pet stores. They don't want the public to see the prey animals being eaten. Yeah. So That makes sense. Again, welcome, man. Good to see you. Let's see. Okay, so you guys will have to bear with me. I try on these live streams where it's just me here. I do try and make sure that I catch all the questions and stuff in the comments and things like that. So there'll be times when it looks like I'm just kind of staring off into space, not saying anything of consequence, but let's see. Let's see. It says, so you have a male modeling orange glow and a female golden child phantom, same age, same setup and everything. The male is growing much faster. Is that normal? No such thing as a dumb question, man. If you think that's a dumb question, then I've asked some really extraordinarily stupid questions in my life. Because logically, with the sexual dimorphism, you would think that the females are growing faster than the males. So yeah, not a dumb question at all. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that. Like I said, I mean, intuitively, we all think that our females are going to grow faster. Any number of reasons that, the male may be growing a little bit faster than the female. It's hard to say. The different genetics right now that are going around in snakes. Somebody may think that they've got a full mainland, and it may actually be part locality or something like that. There may be something that gets into the genetics. There can even be something, just a genetic anomaly in a mainland that makes it not grow as big. The same way you might get an anomaly and when it makes it grow too big. So it's hard to say. My only concern with that I would probably keep an eye on is, since it is not normal, just kind of keep a closer eye on her feeding habits and her health, just to make sure that she's okay. If you take two snakes, a male and a female retic, and you feed the male a lot and you feed the female a little, the male's going to grow more quickly. You're not supposed to manage their size by their food intake. It's another good point to be brought up here talking about this is that you'll see a lot of people, Jay's Prehistoric Pets is notorious for overfeeding his snakes because he wants to get them just as big as he can for shock value, because that's his whole platform. But it's not good for the animals, and he knows what he's doing, and everybody knows what he's doing too. So but it's the same thing too. If you've got a mainland, you don't underfeed them in order to keep them smaller, so that they're easier for you to handle. You let them grow naturally, however they were. If you want a 20-foot snake, they only get 16 feet. Cool. If you're the person that's going to jeopardize their health in order to make them what you want, then maybe get into a different hobby, like maybe paper mache or something where there's not a heartbeat involved. It's best for us to pay attention to the snake's metabolism. But anyway, just a couple points I'd throw on the back of that. But yeah, man, just keep an eye on them. If, like I said, sometimes, different snakes will have different weirdnesses about them. And for those of you guys watching that aren't really snake people, you can see my green tree python's leg. They've got legs. Pythons have legs. I'm going to see if I can put this up into the camera. His spur right there is pretty visible. Let's see. Come on. Give me some focus. It can be difficult to get the camera to focus in on that thing. I'm going to show everybody your butt. So, if I can get it out there. Oh, there we go. Really good split second there where you see that little spur. So, Yeah. For those of you guys that don't know, a lot of snakes have got vestigial pelvises and femurs. So that's what that little spur is right there. So that's for the evolution deniers. Yeah, there was a time when snakes had feet. Actually, oddly enough, having legs is not what determines whether something is a snake or not. So you can have snakes with legs. You can have lizards without legs. The things that determine whether something is a snake or a lizard has to do with skull structure and external ear openings, a couple other things. But you'll see things like legless lizards, and they don't have any visible legs, and they've also got eyelids and all of the solid lower jaw, the one-piece lower jaw, all of the stuff associated with lizards. So thus they're lizards, even though they look like a snake. Even though their body looks like a snake, their head still looks like a lizard. But I know I disturbed you, and now you're going to be all over the place. Say again. Crazy snake. Oh, let's see where I'm at. Yeah, Erica could just kind of bounced off. She said the short version of what I should have said. Yeah, they grow at their own rate. Nothing to worry about. Let's see. Yeah, and I'm terrible at naming animals too, but Ramses kind of fit. I don't even know why it came to mind. It just kind of seemed like a Ramses to me. I know it's kind of funny. I'll sit in on the live streams for Reach Out Reptiles sometimes, and he likes to do this thing where he gets a new snake and he has everybody name it, and he doesn't look at who says it. They just run through the names, and he'll pick a name. Somebody has the privilege of naming one of the snakes. If I got new snakes frequently enough, I could probably do that. What are you doing? Yeah, big mean green tree python. You're just a stone cold killer, ain't you? Probably smells one of the other dozens of animals on me right now and is really confused. Taro's asking what to deal with the upside down flags on Facebook. That is, give me just a second to figure out how to say this so that I don't make too many people cry. 2-minute explanation. And this is regarding politics. So if you want to hear it, stick your fingers in your ears. We talk about left and right in politics in this country, and you'll hear people throw the term around, extreme leftists and all this other stuff, particularly lately with some of the meatheads that the GOP has actually speaking in public. But in the United States, if you look at our political spectrum, we do not have a leftist party here. I don't care what you think of, whatever you may think of the Democratic Party in the United States. They're not a leftist party. They are center right on a global political scale, based on everything that it stands for. The reason why we've got such a big gap is we do have an extreme right here. And that extreme right is heavily authoritarian, heavily theocratic. And I'm not going to argue politics with anybody because I'm unaffiliated. These are just facts. And, if you want to try and argue on behalf of a right-wing extremist, then, do it somewhere else. Okay. There's a reason why people like the Klan and stuff like that all associate with the GOP, because it is a right-wing organization. Authoritarianism and fascism is a staple of that. And they don't have a platform right now. there is no policy platform with the right. It's all grievance and culture wars and all of this other stuff. So, the only thing that they've got to do is to try and scare people that the evil Dems are out to get them. And when you've got, the American flag flown upside down is a symbol of distress. If we're being attacked or something like that, then, you'll see flags flown upside down. And there's people that are just milking that concept. Really trying to make, they make the lowest common denominator in this country is ruled by fear, and they capitalize on it. So if I see anybody in social media or anything like that with that upside down flag bullshit, they're gone. I don't want nothing to do with them. That is just stupid. And I mean, it's not a matter of political affiliation. Some of the things, it tells me nothing about your politics and everything about your character. I make no bones about it. So anyway, that's the deal on the upside down flag thing. And if there's any right-wing extremists in here, please feel free to exit stage left and don't come back. I very seriously, I've got a community of great folks here. And, the bigotry and fear and the hate mongering that's associated with that has no place here. So I don't care about sub count when it comes to matters of right and wrong. So that's my thing on that. And that's the answer to your question. So save the hate mail. I'll just block it. Let's see. Rachel talking about, yep, GTP. This one is so chill. Such a good girl. Or good boy, rather. Here we go. Oh. Awesome. Well, I kind of, my last name is Jackowitz. So I've had my name butchered enough to where I try to kind of read through and get it right as often as I can. Actually, one of the guys that I'm learning from with the photography thing, he's a guy in Ontario, Canada. He's got like a 500,000 sub YouTube channel. The guy's a fantastic wildlife photographer, and his name's Simon D'Entremont. And if you look at the spelling on that, you'd never get it. I would never get it right unless I'd heard him say it 100 times watching his videos. Yeah, let me go ahead and put you back. You've done good. Everybody got to see you. Come on, get in there. So one thing about it, it's always easier taking the perch out than it is to put it back in. Let's see. So I know one thing that I wanted to touch on really quick. I'll leave this up for a second so I don't get lost. We are still doing my level best to get out the one video a week. But a lot of you guys may know that I've been spending a lot of time practicing wildlife photography. And essentially all it is that like for the first 2 years, we'll be on 3 years on Intrepid Exotics in October. For like 2 of those years, I ran everything off of my cell phone. I didn't really focus on video quality or audio or anything like that for a long time. I just got on and started talking about snakes and threw it out there. And, and I found it worked because the content was there and there was a lot of people that needed it, that was wanting help handling and stuff like that. But as we start growing here, and a way to facilitate too, growing bigger, I needed to up my photography and my video editing and my photo editing and all of this other stuff. So I figured the best way to do that is to take the most challenging things and start practicing. So like one of the things that I'm focusing on right now is bird in flight photography. And getting all of that stuff dialed in and doing the editing and getting those pictures just on point. If those of you guys that follow me on Facebook have probably seen, matter of fact, the thumbnail for this video that I put up, I'll put it up again. This is a picture that I took across the lake with this new lens. I'll show you guys the lens in a second. But it's an amazing lens. But yeah, this picture right here, I want to say I was 200 to 300 meters away from this bird when I took this picture. And that is cropped in twice. So we're right about 200% crop after a 600 millimeter zoom on an entry-level camera. So I'm really happy with how that came out. Expect a lot more stuff like that to keep coming up. But like I said, I mean, all of this stuff, I figured if I can really invest the time in getting better with, the photography, I'm really learning how to work the imaging. I've got a lot of gimbal footage that I've got to go through from the Allegheny Zoo. So I'll be working with, making my own B-roll and stuff like that. I want to start doing some green screen videos too, because I've got that capability, which will be kind of cool. But yeah, check this out. This thing is insane. And I thought I was done carrying a rucksack when I got out of the Army, but apparently not. Not so much. This camera bag is a beast. But yeah, this is the latest lens that came in. It's a Sigma 150 to 600. And this thing is a monster. I ain't taking a lens cap off. Ain't no reason to. But it this takes some killer pictures and some great video. And I'll tell you what, when you get out to 600 meters too. And the thing about this, for those of you guys that are camera nerds like me, at 600 millimeters, this camera that I'm using here is a crop sensor, meaning it's a 1.6 crop on the camera. So that moves this from 600 to like 900 and some millimeters on the zoom, which is sick. I just got today a couple pictures that were really great at a stupid distance that I didn't think I was going to get, like a dragonfly from across the pond, and you can see his eyes. So anyway, this is the kind of stuff that I'm doing because I really want to start upping the quality on this stuff, and maybe adding some different species, doing some trips, just doing wildlife photography and stuff with everybody. So yeah, definitely, a lot of this stuff too is, thanks to the Patreon supporters too. We've got a Patreon with Intrepid Exotics. We're actually going to be at 8:30 tonight doing a Zoom call with all our paid Patreon members. So if you guys like what we're doing here and you want to help me grow and help me pay off the financing on all these stupid lenses, by all means, jump onto Patreon. It does help a lot. And, the long-term goal here is to really get the production quality up on this and start throwing some other content in there too, besides just reptiles. So we're growing. I've always got the link to the Patreon page in all the descriptions. So, let's see. Let me see. See how many of these. Hey, hard hat reptiles. How you doing? He is. He's really chill. Reptile. Oh, let's see. Here's the other half of that part. So that's the thing. I'll get 2 topics ahead on something, and then I'll see the replies in the chat. So you got to kind of bear with me here. Should have clarified they're both feeding every 1.5 weeks appropriately. Yeah. Yeah. And I had no presumption that you were doing any of that, as far as overfeeding, underfeeding, stuff like that. Just something that I wanted to mention. I'm quite certain if you were intentionally doing that, you wouldn't have asked the question in the first place because you would have known why. So yeah, I got you. Oh man, I appreciate that. Not as good as some, but we get by. I haven't been bit in a while. If you were talking to me, I don't know. You could have been talking to somebody else. Oh, let's see. We're gonna. All right. Here we go. Oh, cool. Yeah, Scabby was talking computers here. 100 to 400 with the extender. Yeah, you can. That was the lens that I was working with before I got this one was a 75 to 300. So on his crop sensor pushes it out to like almost 500 millimeters or something like that. But this lens, for any of you guys that are into cameras, it's you can get it under $1,000. Typically you'll find it between 900 and 1,200, something like that, kind of depending on how you go about getting it. But I've done hours and hours of research on the best lenses for this stuff, and this is the best lens you can get, short of the $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 prime lenses, from everything that I've heard. So that's it's my 2 cents. Again, if you're looking at something like this, man, it is an amazing lens. It's a little bad in low light because it's an f4. No, I'm sorry, it's not an f4. It's an f5 aperture at 150 and an f6.5 at 600 millimeters. So you don't have a really big aperture opening on it, but man, in direct sunlight, that thing is a boss. So how's it Tegu doing? Tegu is doing well. I do need to put out an update video on him. He is doing pretty good. He hasn't tried to bite me in a little while, so it will be time to put out another video on him pretty soon. I don't know what he was talking about that led you to Cheech and Chong, but I had to put that up there because when I was a kid, I watched Up in Smoke so many times. I had every word memorized. Hey, how are you doing? Good to see you, man. There. Man, I don't know how I did it, but I made it all the way to the end of the comments. Let's see. Scabby talking about lenses again. What do we got? 70 to 200 2.8. Yeah, it's a good lens. I'm really like this 17 millimeter prime that I'm recording on right now is pretty awesome. It's really good for going around doing documentary style stuff. Just like some of the video that I caught out at the zoo this morning. Comes out really good, and it's got a really fast aperture on it too. So, and you can go into enclosures where it's darker and still see everything. Only bad part is the porcupine. I didn't get it to focus really well because I think it was because of the branches and stuff like that. The camera was really messing with my autofocus, but that porcupine was so cool. And he's so chill too, still a little bit grumpy. She had to take a quick, and I don't remember, I think I put this up on Facebook, but they a lot of people don't think about this, but porcupines will quill themselves too. She had to take a quill out of his foot the other day. He was none too happy about it, but it looks like he's feeling a little bit better. Again, all that stuff will come out in the video that I'm putting out. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm supposed to live. All of my health screenings so far came back from the VA good. I do not have cancer or anything like that. So you guys get to put up with me for a little while longer anyway. Rachel says, thanks for all the wonderful advice about my Nile. She came out of her hide today and put her hands on my arm. Nice. Let me pet her for quite a while. That's awesome. Yeah, Rachel has taken on a Nile here recently, and she is seeing firsthand how much patience it takes to work with these guys and to really get them. And Rachel, not to burst your balloon or anything, but just get yourself prepared. You know, stuff like enclosure changes sometimes can really freak them out and set them back. So, you know, when they're young, like what happened with my Nile monitor. And I've seen some that don't have this problem that people just work with and it goes so easy for them and they're like puppy dogs. But one of the things that I dealt with my Nile is I got him as he was young and I was feeding him and stuff like that, bonding with him. He did really good. And then the very first enclosure change, he stopped eating for a couple weeks. Just it seemed like everything just almost went back to square one. And then I finally got him coming around and being a little bit more, interactive and stuff. By the time that happened, it was time for another enclosure upgrade. So like with this last enclosure upgrade that I did for him, it's an 8x8x6. It's got the full bathtub in it and all that stuff, basking platform. But it took months before he would really come out of his tub. I was waiting to see him get out and start to use all that space that I gave him. He didn't want nothing to do with it. Stopped eating for close to a month. Just because of an enclosure change. There wasn't anything, wasn't anything traumatic happened to him or anything. But he finally came around and he's doing so much better now. That was a couple of years ago, actually. But now, I mean, he sees me, he comes out. I see him down there, cruising around all the time. So he's balanced out. But the whole point of that is that, don't be surprised if at some point something changes with him. They've got their little lizard adolescence that they go through where they turn into teenagers and hate the world. So they can go emo on you for a little while. Don't be surprised. Take a lot of patience with them. Some disappointments when you step backwards, but it's all well worth it. After you really get that relationship built with them, all that work pays off. So, Nicole was asking if I seen Nerd's video about. I seen Kevin post about it. For those of you guys that don't know, there was some shoe manufacturer had they're trying to use a snake as a marketing tool, and they used the most emaciated, unhealthy animal you've ever seen. Calling a ball python a rattlesnake or some crap like that. But I haven't watched Kevin's video on it yet. I should, but yeah, I don't know. I don't buy Vans anyway, so it doesn't really impact me. I could boycott them, but I've never bought anything from them and never had any intention to, so wouldn't make any difference. But I guess I'll have to watch that. I would guess there's probably some kind of, some people maybe boycotting them on an animal abuse level. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. I'm just guessing. So, but yeah, I will be looking into that stuff at some point. And I don't jump on everything with both feet until I get all the facts, and I just haven't had time to get all the facts on it yet. So. Once I do, we may be putting out a video on it about animal abuse and marketing or something like that. It's hard to say. See, Naz was saying, let's talk about the Tegu. Adopted her first Tegu as sub-adult. Your videos helped me a lot with taming her. Awesome. It's great to hear. That's why we do it. One thing I really love is I love it. It always makes my day, man, when I'm flipping through the comments or something, or somebody messages me and says that a couple pieces of advice here and there, a couple small tweaks, and everything is so much better. Yeah, so that's, yeah, it can be hard to stay motivated sometimes when you're, doing a YouTube channel by yourself on such a niche topic that doesn't grow quickly. Um, yeah, it can be tough to keep your motivation up sometimes. Um, especially in the summertime when you got stuff you might want to be doing and all that. And you're like, you know what? I got my Saturday night live stream that I got to be back for. Um, Sometimes it's you can want to blow it off, but I mean, it's stuff like that that really keeps me going, keeps me focused, and keeps me wanting to do better on the channel because it's helping people. And that was the goal. So. Um, I heard a quote the other day that really kind of struck home with me too. Is that um, laziness is the greatest disrespect you can show to people that support you. Take a moment, think about that as long as you need to. I thought about it for a long time, and now in the days when I'm thinking about, you know what, I'm not going to do anything. It's like, you know what, I've got some people out there that support the channel, and I need to get off my butt and do the right thing. So. Oh. Every time we'd say, yeah, that's off Up in Smoke. That's the scene when they're in the police station and he's on the intercom and he starts talking to the cops that are chasing him. That's a funny scene. Oh, hey, Susan, good to see ya. Yeah, Green Tree Python's name is Ramses. Judge says they apparently also had a second video of the ball pythons they put on directly on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. That kind of crap. I've even come down on the guy out here. There's like a haunted house right down the road from me, and this guy's running around with a Burmese python on him in October, trying to look like a stud, running his haunted house, and yeah. And he's pretty well known. Oh, you know that guy? He's got that big snake. I'm like, yeah, that guy's an asshole because it is entirely too cold for that snake out there. So yeah, I come down on him a couple times too. Let's see. Yeah, Rachel said you already noticed how sensitive. Yep, they can be really sensitive to change. Let's see. We are getting really close to 8:30 right now, and that means we're getting really close to our Patreon Zoom call. Those of you guys that are going to be hanging out on the Patreon after this will be a little bit delayed. I try to be really punctual. I try to start the live streams on time and Zoom calls on time and stuff like that, but I'm still trying to catch up on comments. So I want to at least get to the end of the comments before we switch over. Let's see. And see how many people I pissed off today on the my little rant on upside down flags. I really don't care. Oh, hey. She says, excellent channel. Tithe, share, and help. Absolutely. This is my friend out at the zoo at Allegheny. And like I said, we'll be putting out a video about. She does an awesome job out there. Yeah, she's pretty much a solo act, taking care of all the animals. She's got a couple of volunteers that comes out to help, but doing that, running the Airbnb out there. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. If you guys follow me on Facebook, we as soon as I got out there yesterday, we hooked up to the trailer, started loading up some hay. So I'll tell you what, she works better than most men I know. Yeah, we were slinging that hay around like it was nobody's business. But I'm glad you made it. It's good to see you again. Hey, Tyler made it. Oh, I just got the 5-minute warning here for the Patreon. I know. Oh man, let's see. We got here. Well, I won't get into that. There's you talking about the country being in distress. Country is potentially in distress because there's currently an authoritarian attempting to get into the White House after already attempting a coup. And not my opinion. These are facts. These are definitions. So, yeah, I am more than willing to put anybody in their place with objective facts on this topic. I was a soldier for 10 years of my life. I swore an oath to the Constitution. I didn't swear an oath to a political party or a wannabe dictator. And I have absolutely no patience for anybody that does. So, anyway, I'm sorry. That hits me. It's tough as a combat vet, especially to hear anybody trying to hug the flag and then call my dead brothers and sisters in the military suckers and losers. So don't get me started. So we'll leave on a positive note, right? Anyway, yeah, enough of that. We are going to jump over to the Zoom call. We're going to be running probably about 5 minutes behind. I've got to go fill up my coffee and take a little break. Well, I will be running about 5 minutes behind. I'll go straight from here and go ahead and start it up and just kind of have my end of it idle while everybody jumps in. So it was great to see everybody. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, jump down, get subscribed, jump down in the comments. You got any questions, stuff like that, feel free. And we've also, like I said, man, we've got the Patreon group. It's still growing. And we're still working on, oh yeah, I forgot to mention too, because I haven't had time to get on. We got the Discord started for the Patreon supporters too. So that's available. I'm trying to here slowly kind of add things on for the Patreon members, just kind of enhance all of this stuff, for the folks that support the channel and stuff like that. So it's getting there, slowly but surely. There's a lot to do. And being a solo act with a full-time job, it takes a little while to get to it all sometimes, but we're getting there. So we're going to jump over there, and it was great to see you guys again. And I hope the rest of your weekend is safe and great and all that other cool stuff, and have a great week. Hopefully I can get this Zoo video out here this week. And definitely, if you guys are in the North Carolina area, Western North Carolina, stuff like that, I definitely check it out. I'll have the links to the Airbnb and all that stuff on there too when I put the video out. So great folks out there, great little spot. So we will see you guys next week, and we will see all of the Patreon folks on Zoom here in a few minutes. So take care, guys.